Welcome to another edition of Chaplain John with Chaplain John Sayers, featuring special reports and interviews with people doing kingdom ministry in Tulare County and beyond. And now, here's Chaplain John.
Hey, do you remember those Clint Eastwood movies where he really made his big hit? They called them the spaghetti westerns. One of the I wish I had the theme music right now. That'd be so cool if I could. Theme music for that. So think of the theme music. And one of the movies was called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Remember that? Well, I think this short Bible study, the whatever thought for the day, could be called the wicked, the godless, and the religious. And then here comes the music, whatever that sounds. Hey, Gail and I are studying the book of Romans now. We're just started in chapter 1, and I'm going to put on little thoughts now and then just in chapter 1. And Paul says something I wanted to read to you on Romans chapter 16, chapter 1, verse 16. Paul says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation for everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and to the Greek. Not ashamed of the gospel. There's a trial going on. We'll talk about that in a minute. And Paul could almost be like the prosecuting attorney. See who's on trial. But he's not ashamed of the gospel. Now, I'm reading this through my Founder's Bible. I think I shared that before. Boy, I encourage you to get that. It's really neat. And throughout the Bible, when you're reading certain passages, it reminds you of our forefathers and foremothers, their faith in God. And our nation was really, our Constitution, our nation was founded upon people who believed in God. And here they draw attention. Oh, so many people that have this great faith in God. One is a guy called Gunning Bedford, one of the signers of the Declaration. He said, to the triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, be ascribed honor, dominion forevermore. One of their founders, signers of the Declaration. Here's one you might have heard. Patrick Henry said this: being a Christian is a character which I praise far above on this world can have or boast. Let me read that again. Being a Christian is a character which I prize far above all this world has or can boast. Founding fathers. Wow. Well, we are getting into the book of Romans, and I like our Bible app guy. He's kind of reminded, and he's talking about this. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 is almost like there's a trial going on. And Paul could almost be like even though he's being tried, he could almost be the prosecuting attorney, I guess. And you need to see yourself where you're in this trial. Are you just coming as an observer? Or are you coming as a wicked person or a godless person? Or are you coming as a religious person? And where do you stand? Now, it's interesting when you divide these categories up, because there are some people that are just wicked. They turned away from God, their hearts, and they're coming to this going, Paul's sharing is going to mean nothing to them, because they're wicked, and there are people that turn away from God. And there are people that are godless. They go, whatever, we don't believe in God anyway, so whatever. And then we could say there are the religious. Oh, we believe in God. We're Christians. We go to church every day. My goodness, we're coming to this trial, because at the end of this chapter, Paul does speaks against the alternative lifestyle. Being a homosexual, a lesbian, very strong against this. And there are some of us that go, good, Paul, give it to them. Yes, they deserve that. And then all of a sudden, we put ourselves on the jury to judge. And we're going to read, even throughout this, Paul will remind us again, don't judge others, because we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Yes, this is a sin, homosexuality. It is. And but we've all sinned. There's areas that, Jesus says, if you think something, you've done it. You've sinned. if you think adultery, you've done it. That's a sin. If you think murder, you've done it. That's a sin. And so, but if we tend to think that a sin is, we list these things, we haven't done that, we haven't done that, well, then you're putting yourself, I believe, on the jury as the religious person. It's not our religion that saves us. It's our relationship with Jesus that saves us. And yes, Paul is going to speak about some sins, but he reminds us that we all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So as you read the book of Romans, I like this theme. Are you going to read it as a wicked person, as a godless person, whatever, or as a religious person? But if you read it as a Christian who repents constantly, and we do need, and we're turning to God, oh, this will be a great book to look at, a great book. Okay, chapter 1.